With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Miller, joined, as always, by my co-host, Corey Cannon. We're going to get into pick 17 through 32 of our first mock draft. We have watched enough guys over the summer to have a decent feel on who we like, who we dislike. And this is really more than anything an opportunity to talk about these prospects, not necessarily placing them where we believe they're going to go, or what the general team needs are, because they're going to change astronomically in the next 9 months, 10 months before the NFL draft in April. So that matters very little. Just listen to what we have to say about the players, because that's really all that matters here. Before we get started, Corey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. My audit's coming up at work, so feeling a little bit busier day job wise, but we're doing well. We're doing well. Ready to round out here, 17 through 32 here. But yeah, what Dalton said, summer mocks are always really funny. Go back and read some that had like Brian Lewerke going first overall a few years ago. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, like you'll see some fun stuff like that. And it's fun to go. I should go back and check ones that I did last year, just to see, because I'm pretty sure like people were mocking Carson Beck first overall last year. So nobody had Cam Ward in the first round, really. So some funny stuff there going on.
Even a few weeks into the college football season, we had Miller Moss going first.
I forgot about that one.
Things happen. Mistakes are made all of the time. It's just part of the business here. Go back and watch the last episode to get picks 1 through 16. We're going to make you listen to it. We're not going over.
Yeah.
Right. Go back and listen. Period.
But the Houston Texans are on the clock. So the Texans came into the offseason with a big need along their offensive line, and they left the offseason with a big need along their offensive line. They signed a bunch of veterans on one-year deals to kind of patch this thing up, I think, to make a run and plug holes elsewhere in the draft with young players. But there's still a definite need for young players along that offensive line. So that's the exact direction we're going here. 17th overall, we're going to take Oregon offensive tackle Isaiah World. World's feet are a little clunky, but he's getting coached up at Auburn now, at Oregon now, and I think he moves really well at his size. He's got a really dense lower half, and you can tell in his power profile. So I think there's a really strong foundation to build on with Isaiah World as he goes from Nevada to Oregon here. So Isaiah World, 17th overall to the Houston Texans.
And at number 18, the slip is over. Caleb Downs did not go in the first 16 picks, even though he is probably a top 5-ish player in this class. Safeties are just not valued at the NFL level for the most part. But this is about as simple as Caleb Downs meet Brian Flores. Brian Flores meet Caleb Downs. Go have fun. I see him being. I think calling him a Harrison Smith plus, like, because Harrison Smith, we have to remember, was an outstanding pro for a very long time. Who can do a little bit of everything, but is best coming towards the line of scrimmage. And I think that's where Caleb Downs lives. I think that's where Caleb Downs is at his best. Even though he has great range, he is an unbelievable return man as well. He's shifty, so he's got the athleticism, but he has the size to be an absolute menace around the line of scrimmage in a Brian Flores defense.
I love it. Yeah, safeties, I always struggle to play safeties in mock drafts, dude.
It's like, so hard, dude.
In the top 10, like I could find some spots, but like every spot that I would think to put him, we could do like, oh, but they need a premium position. And so you just draft a premium position over him. All right, 19th of the Steelers here. I'm dipping myself back in the quarterback market here. I'm the only person who's drafted a quarterback in this mock draft, and spoiler alert, will be the only person to draft a quarterback the rest of the way because this is the last quarterback coming off the board here. We're only drafting 3 quarterbacks. Historically, outside of 2024, there's only like 3 quarterbacks that tend to go round 1. I mean, 2021 had 4 as well, but you're lucky to get 3 good quarterbacks out of a class. And I think we're going to see that trend here as well this upcoming season. So 19th overall, Pittsburgh Steelers take Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson. Steelers keep just kicking the can in terms of their direction down the road another year to try to make right the ship and compete. If they can still 19th that's fringe wild card. If they can still do fringe wild card with Aaron Rodgers here and still get a quarterback of the future at 19th, that's not like a Kenny Pickett level quarterback like they drafted in the first round a few years ago. That's a pretty solid win here. So when we're talking about the tools of Klubnik, again, a B to B plus arm, but again, legit runs a 4.5. Has shown some ability to really layer the football, throw the football some touch, and has gotten better every year of his career. So 19th overall here, Steelers get their next quarterback of the future, Cade Klubnik, 19th overall.
And at number 20, moving on to the Denver Broncos, Mike McGlinchey's contract can be moved on from after this season. And I believe Caleb Lomo, even though he is a left tackle for Utah, I believe that because his right hand is so strong and his left hand is a little bit weak, I would consider moving him to the right side anyways, because I want to be able to protect the arc, and I think that he has enough with that left hand to be able to survive inside counters. I just don't want a guy who has a weak outside hand and gets beat on the outside shoulder. And I think that's where his real weakness is right now. I think he's a fantastic player overall. I think he's got aggressive hands. I think he's an impressive athlete overall. He is efficient in his footwork. He doesn't heel click at all. He's got a strong natural anchor. He's reactive. He's accurate. He's got violent hands. But he has to stay in that half-man relationship. And he does so. But because that left hand is a little bit weak, he can get beat on the outside. Move him to the right side. Maybe that quells some of those concerns. And we get him, pushing the sled in the run game for a Sean Payton offense.
Yeah. Yep. We've made our thoughts on Lomu pretty clear in our past episode earlier this week on offensive tackles, where you even said you wanted to see Fano and Lomu switch sides. So now he's getting the chance to play right tackle here. So we're moving on. All right. 21st overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are going with Arizona State cornerback Keith Abney. One of my guys in this year's draft class. He is my CB2 right now entering the season. And I think in kind of a different tier even than guys like Harris, Terrell, those types of players. To the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers kind of needed to draft a corner last year, and I guess they did in Benjamin Morrison in the second round there. Benjamin Morrison's coming through some hip stuff still. But even then, the Buccaneers need to add more youth to their cornerback room. Even opposite Benjamin Morrison, if Morrison pans out here. Zion McCollum's entering a contract year. They drafted Jacob Parrish to play in the nickel for them. But they need another outside corner there. And I think what we saw from Keith Abney at the end of the season with some of the ball skills we saw in the Cincinnati game, there's a lot of translatable skills there with Abney, especially in a quarters kind of defense there too. So we're going to go Keith Abney to the Buccaneers.
And to the Los Angeles Chargers, whose defense, survived, kind of even thrived with some real no names at cornerback in 2024. In 2025, when we look at it, it's Dante Jackson, it's Dave Still, it's Cam Hart. Like, we are still looking at a whole lot of very, very minimal name recognition when it comes to the cornerback room there. And Corey brought up A.J. Harris maybe being a tier down from Keith Abney. I like A.J. Harris. He might be a 4-5 guy, which is a bit unfortunate. But he is naturally quick-footed, especially for his size. I think he does a really good job mirroring the more complex route concepts that happen. So we're talking about like blaze out double moves. I think that his eyes stay really, really disciplined in man coverage. And even though he has all that length, I think that we see a little bit of a difference between, like, say, him and somebody like Joey Porter Jr. coming out of Penn State, who, like, clearly was going to grab everybody and anything that he could and is still doing so at the NFL level. I also really like that A.J. Harris is not afraid to come up and smack when he has to, which is something that we just don't see from corners these days because they don't really have to and they don't really want to. He has experience from multiple alignments, and I think that he's a really strong pinpointer when it comes to cloud coverages. When he's down in the flats for cover two, I think he does a really strong job of mid-pointing and taking away both routes, the high and the low. The lean frame is a little bit of an issue, and I think that he needs to stay a little bit more patient at the line of scrimmage. But there is a lot to like about Harris, and there is not a lot to like about the Los Angeles Chargers secondary.
I dig it. I do like AJ Harris, but that is one thing I have in my notes as well. Is there's a little backpack on him when he's trying to carry vertically for sure, in terms of long speed. So moving on to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers just selected a wide receiver in the first round, and then they went out in their first preseason game, and their other wide receivers outside of the guy they drafted in the first round dropped passes again. So they clearly need more than one wide receiver in that room to upgrade it to the point where it needs to be for Jordan Love and company. And so we're gonna take an upside shot here at a player that I really like his tape, man. I've been pretty bullish on his tape. 6'1", 227, and plays with a jetpack on, and I think is pretty fluid at 227 as well. And that's Louisville wide receiver Chris Bell. Again, Louisville, go watch the Clemson game, and they manufacture a touch on a reverse for him, and he just explodes into the open field with the football in his hands. He's running deep outs. He's running comebacks that I think, like, there's no business a dude who's 227 pounds should be getting out of breaks like that. And so I'm a big fan of Chris Bell. I think he has some drop issues too, which might not be what Packers fans want to hear here, but the upside explosiveness, top end kind of athleticism here really makes me bullish. And I think he plays with his hands really well too at that size to create some extra separation with physicality. So I like Louisville, Chris Bell, wide receiver Chris Bell, and I think he's really going to take off here if Miller Moss can push the ball further than 15 yards down the field. So Chris Bell, Green Bay Packers.
And with the next pick, the 24th pick in the mock draft, the Los Angeles Rams are going to take CC, or real name Francis Moinoa, from Miami. And I think that this is an interesting one because we see him, I think, pretty similarly when it comes to playing right tackle. I do think Havenstein is getting older. The Rams really like guys who have a little bit of positional versatility. I mean, how many positions have we seen Alaric Jackson play over the years for them before finally, settling in at left tackle and then getting a contract from them? And so I think if Francis or CC, whatever he would prefer to be called, is okay, he can start on the interior or start as the swing tackle and learn and grow at the position a little bit, because I do think that he needs some seasoning there. I think he does need to improve technically there. But he has explosiveness. He's got an impressive outside hand. He's got the juice to make the set points in pass pro. He just needs to dial in the consistency and dial in the eyes a little bit.
Yeah, you have the Rams doubling up here on big boys in the first round. Go Proctor and Moinoa here. Really overhauling that unit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. San Francisco 49ers tend to do a little dance here every year. The past two seasons where they're like, will they or won't they trade Brandon Ayuk? They did trade Deebo Samuel, who is 75% of a wide receiver in that offense. And Juwan Jennings is in for a contract as well. So the wide receiver room in San Fran is a little bit in limbo. Yes, they have Ricky Pearsall, but that is very much a very defined role player. And so they need to add another wide receiver to that room because, again, they could always turn around and get in trade talks with Brandon Ayuk again next year. So with the 25th overall pick here, the San Francisco 49ers are going to go with Ohio State wide receiver Carnell Tate. Again, if you listen to the Ohio State offense episode that Dalton and I do, we're not very high on Carnell Tate because all of the little things he's not very good at playing the wide receiver position. But one more year at Ohio State. The natural gifts. He naturally, as a mover, he reminds me of CeeDee Lamb. And so if he can kind of hone in on some of that other stuff, then we're talking, then we're cooking. And at the end of the day, in this mock draft, 32 players have to go in the first round. So I don't know if there's 32 players that I would want to put in the first round here, but 32 players have to go in the first round. And so Carnell Tate, all the natural gifts. We'll see if he can refine in and hone in a little bit more on the other stuff here. And yeah, we're going Carnell Tate here to the 49ers.
And Trey Hendrickson has still not been extended by the Cincinnati Bengals. They just drafted Shamar Stewart in the first round. They drafted, Miles Murphy in the first round of the 2023 NFL draft. And so they have spent premium picks at the position already, but they really need to find that guy. We both believe Stewart can be that guy, but they have taken two guys, again, who are first off the bus type of guys as well. Stewart being an absolute freak of nature physically, and then Miles Murphy being a larger edge rusher as well. Keldrick Falk is that guy as well. He's a first off the bus guy. He accelerates really well for 270 pounds. He's got outside in versatility as a rusher. He's got natural power. He's got strong eyes. He's got good feel. He just has absolutely no pass rush plan whatsoever, which could be scary. But if one of Shamar Stewart or Keldrick Falk could turn into a plus pass rusher, the run defending side of things should be a massive plus on the edges for the Cincinnati Bengals. And so you're still getting quality play, even if you might have to find or produce pass rush productivity in more creative ways. And so you swing for the fences here in a class overall where you're picking lower. You're picking 26th overall here right now, and there just might not be a ton of talent that you can see with two wide eyes. You might need to squint a little bit, and if you squint, Falk has top 15, top 10 physical ability.
I love it. Yeah, I'm not as high as on Falk. I see it though, and he's 19. So
I'm not high on him either. This is more predictive-ish than anything else.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the Washington Commanders here, and I'm gonna give the Commanders the best player on my board, and it's a player who I'm actually much higher on than 27th overall, but I didn't have a place to put him. And that's Florida's Caleb Banks. And honestly, Washington's not a great place to put him either because their defensive line depth is pretty good. They just signed Javon Kinlaw to a decent-sized deal. They have Daron Payne, who they could get out of that, but they also have Johnny Newton. So it's tough to figure out what to do here. But again, Banks can play a little bit of 4-5 tech as well. So kind of what Dorrance Armstrong is doing for them right now, if Dorrance Armstrong doesn't hang around too. So I'm going to go the massive 6'6" defensive tackle from Florida here in Caleb Banks, who's got a really good speed to power profile, really explosive hands. So I think this is a good spot for him.
Yeah, and the Baltimore Ravens do what the Baltimore Ravens do. They typically draft really good football players. They just go and they draft good football players. And they did that here as well with Reuben Bain Jr., Miami defensive lineman is what I'm going to call him, because he will not play, in my opinion, the outside linebacker position for the Baltimore Ravens. They like to stand their guys up on the edge. I don't think that's who he is. I think he is a 4-eye, 3-tech, 5-tech kind of guy. But he is so laterally explosive for 275. His ability to cross face is pretty fantastic. He's got an impressive club and swim. He is dangerous reduced down as a rusher because he is so quick off of the ball. He's a bull in a china shop. When he is crashing on defensive line games, he really opens lanes up for his teammates. Extension and grip strength are evident, even though I think he is a little bit chopped off with the arms. They're not very long. He does a very good job of maximizing his length, and he is ox strong. And so he is able to discard blockers pretty well with a nice little push-pull. He's got speed to power. He's got a floating little club and rip that he flashed versus Iowa State that was on the edge. And so he can win on the outside. But I think where he is going to really thrive is maybe instead of playing at 275, over time, get him up to 285, keep him in the interior a little bit more, survive there as a run defender, and be an absolute menace as a pass rusher from the interior.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, we are moving on here. Ruben Bain, interesting player. He's a Raven. That feels like a Raven, though. Feels like a Raven. Detroit Lions are going to take a similar player to Bain here. Another guy with inside-out versatility. Kind of a weird profile. Doesn't have as much power as you'd like, but has more flexibility than you'd think.
And a similar guy to like what you would expect for the Detroit Lions to take as well for an edge rusher. They like their big boys.
Yeah, for sure. And they drafted Tyleek Williams to address the interior. They still haven't found that running mate for Hutch yet. And so with LT Overton here, I'm hoping that they do a little bit of both. You get a little bit of interior, but also you get that guy opposite him. We'll see what Overton does. Again, his get off has got to get better. And if he can't improve the explosiveness in his lower half, then he's got to improve the snap timing aspect of it. But at the end of the day, like the dude plays with a ton of flexibility for his size. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. And I think he's got some pretty good run game instincts as well, along with the alignment versatility. So LT Overton's an interesting player. And so we'll stick him back here at 29, because if he didn't go 29, I have a feeling he would have gone 32nd. So,
Yeah, but he would have definitely ended up going 32nd. The same with Ruben Bain. Like, it's just, first of all,
those are Brandon Graham regens. Yeah,
we'll get to it when we get to
Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham region. Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills at 30, they have a ton of names at safety that you would recognize. But I do think that they could benefit from pairing a free safety with their current starter at strongish safety in Cole Bishop. And where I think Bishop is pretty versatile overall. And what we saw from the Buffalo Bills when they were at their best defensively was when they had Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, both guys who can do a little bit of everything. Now, the Bills run a lot of single high stuff. They rotate their safeties down quite a bit. And so that'll be interesting to see, because we didn't really get that on tape very often from Dylan Thiemann. At Oregon, I'm hoping that changes. It should change, because at Oregon, they do run a lot more too high stuff, a lot more split safety looks. He will have a more versatile role there. And so you're going to get the best of everything. You saw him as a pure free safety playing 30 yards off the ball sometimes. Now you're going to get that more versatile role. And I think pairing him on that defense could be really, really big for Buffalo moving forward, because we saw the success that they had when they had two absolutely studly safeties on the back end.
Yep. Back to the days of Poyer and Hyde. Love it. All right. Now we're getting into the dog days here, and it's really hard to pick in these early season mock drafts back here at the end, man. We're sitting here at the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. They just drafted an offensive tackle. I feel like they could draft another offensive tackle, because Jawan Taylor is heading out after the season. Jalen Moore is actually playing a lot of left guard for them. Kingsley Suamatia is not living up to what they need him to be. And so like they could honestly take another tackle here, but we have drafted 6 tackles already. So there's not a lot of tackle names here to fit into the first round, unless you really want to throw in Xavier Chaplin here. But again, Xavier Chaplin, I feel like, is too clunky of a mover to try to tell him to switch his kick to right from left. So I don't think that fits super well here either. We're going to play the age game with Travis Kelce here. And, Travis Kelce is nearing the end of his contract as well. The production dipped last season. We'll see what happens this season with Travis Kelce in terms of production and what he's got left in the tank. But we're going to go with the guy who I think is the best tight end in the class. And it's a guy with unbelievable zone instincts, really good movement skills in and out of breaks, can do some damage to the ball in his hands as well. So, like, to me, this feels like a good Travis Kelce kind of passing of the torch here to Ohio State's Max Clare here, 31 overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. Do I love the pick at that range? No, I don't. But at the end of the day, like, again, 31 guys got to go in the first round. We got to fit someone in here somewhere. So we're going Max Clare to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Actually, 32 guys have to go in the first round.
That's fair. Yes, you're right.
And that's where the Philadelphia Eagles come in. God, what an impossible team to draft for. What an
Everywhere
impossible.
you look, it's like, nope, there's a depth guy there. There's a depth guy
Look at
there.
it, it's like, they have a starter there who's really good, and they have a rookie or a second-year guy who is waiting in the wings, where they have a really good piece of depth or multiple different depth pieces. Like, it's just an absolutely complete roster, and it's really annoying as somebody who grew up as a Cowboys fan. But the Philadelphia Eagles here are going to get the replacement or potential replacement for Dallas Goedert in the future. He is on a 1-year deal right now. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon, undersized guy, 235 maybe, but gosh, a phenomenal athlete overall. And when you look at that offense, what that offense is able to bring in the run game, it is somewhat more traditional than it was because Jalen Hurts has slowed down a little bit as a rusher. But overall, I think that you can hide a poor blocking tight end in that offense. Mm-hmm. And I think more than anything, what I was looking for the Philadelphia Eagles was another offensive weapon to pair on the interior as a pass catcher with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Because when you look at that team, they don't have a number 3 wide receiver that you can trust. And there is nobody that I've watched so far that I would like to take at number 32 as a wide receiver right now.
No.
That is not already off of the board. And so Kenyon Sadiq, let him maybe on another 1-year deal for Dallas Goedert next year. Wait in the wings, learn a little bit how to be a pro, maybe build up some strength a little bit, build his technical abilities as a blocker a little bit, and then insert him in year 2 in that starting position and watch him catch 60 passes for 750 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. The thing with Sadiq too is he'll get after it as a run blocker. He'll try it. He'll get after it. So stick him at
he's just
back in year 1 and just for sure. I went back and I was like, I need to see every single target of Sadiq, and I went back and I watched, and it's like all they're doing is giving him end arounds and throwing him screens, which just tells you what kind of playmaker they think he is, even though they had Terrence Ferguson in their offense last year. So that's the kind of stuff that the Eagles could do in year 1 with here as well. But what we're going to see from Sadiq this year, again, with Evan Stewart's ACL injury in preseason, and like DeCorian Moore is probably their best receiver, and he's a true freshman. So we're going to see a lot of Kenyon Sadiq this year, I think, catching passes at Oregon. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do here. That's going to round it out. So let's go back, recap 17 through 32 here. Houston Texans at 17, Isaiah World. Minnesota Vikings at 18, Caleb Downs. 19, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cade Klubnik. 20th, Denver Broncos take Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Buccaneers take Keith Abney, Arizona State corner. Los Angeles Chargers go A.J. Harris, Penn State corner. Green Bay Packers take another wide receiver in Chris Bell from Louisville. The Los Angeles Rams take C.C. Moinoa from Miami. 49ers go Carnell Tate, Ohio State wide receiver. The Bengals take another edge rusher in Keldrick Falk from Auburn. The Washington Commanders take Caleb Banks, defensive tackle from Florida. Denver Broncos go defensive lineman Ruben Bain from Miami. Lions go LT
the Baltimore Ravens too, but you said the Denver Broncos.
Oh, the Baltimore Ravens. My bad. Lions go LT Overton, edge rusher from Alabama. Bills go Dylan Thieneman from Oregon, safety. Chiefs go tight end Max Clare from Ohio State, and Eagles go Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon. And I think that's all we got for you today.
That is 32 picks. The NFL mock draft, our first of the summer, actually our only one of the summer, because we're not going to do another one before the season starts. And that brings it up a fair point. The season is getting closer and closer.
Week 0 is in 2 weeks, man.
Week 0 is in 2 weeks.
Or is it next weekend?
I think it's 2 weeks, right? Because the first week should
the 23rd. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
That's wild.
And when that happens, guess who is going to have the all 22 up on Patreon right after the games are over? I don't know how many games there are. I haven't even looked yet. I'm dreading the workload that is coming with the college football season for me.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm glad I'm not diving into that, but I'm glad football's back, man. We got preseason footballs. It's just good to have it on the screen. So I hope you guys are enjoying that as well. We're back to 4 days a week, so keep tuning in. Thank you for following all off season. When we dropped down to 3 days a week, we haven't had an episode under 100 downloads, which for the off season feels okay. Feels pretty good. So now that the season's picking back up, let's pick that shit back up and let's get it moving. So until next time, this has been the Daft on Draft podcast.